Today on 14 Victor Echo, I share with you guys a little something that happened this week. Very, very long 7 months of trying to get my third class medical. And it's finally here.
So you just got a letter in the mail from the FAA today.
I did. Very exciting and long-awaited letter.
So this has to do with getting your medical for your Class 3 medical.
Yes, which has been an adventure all on its own.
So we knew that there were going to be a few potential questions asked going to the medical with medical history.
Yes.
So how did you go about getting ready for that?
We had some different questions that we weren't exactly sure how to answer about me. So got in touch with AOPA, told them what medications I was on and for what, and a little bit about my history. After looking at the Med Express form, I knew we were going to have some things to fill in. So they guided me with all of the khaki forms and what I was going to need from my doctors in order to get those successfully approved by the AME when I went to my appointment.
And this is all before you showed up to get your medical from an AME.
Yes, I actually rescheduled my medical 3 times trying to make sure that I had all my forms so that I wouldn't get denied or deferred, and I was going to walk out of there with a medical that day.
Yeah. So once you were ready to show up to the medical, you chose a very popular AME that's in our local area that everyone on our local social media networks raves about.
Yep.
And you show up.
He was super helpful according to everyone else.
Yes. So you show up to the medical exam. How many boxes did you have to check no on the Med Express?
There were 3 things. One of them was super easy to take care of, and the other 2 I had to go and make medical appointments and talk to my doctors, rearrange some medications to be ones that were eligible to fly with, and one of them was just a history thing that I knew I was going to need a letter from a professional from.
Okay. And when you showed up to the medical exam, what was that like?
Very brief. Here, go pee in a cup. All right, you're not on drugs. And then go into a room, do the eye exam, the hearing check. All right, your reflexes work. Oh, but you checked these boxes. Deferred. Wait, I have all the paperwork. I don't care to see about that right now.
So off to FAA Limbo Land you go.
Yeah, it was very depressing. I remember calling you and crying in the car. I didn't get my medical. It was very sad, frustrating. I was mad at the AME. I was mad at myself, thinking, why did I waste all that time with the letters, and why didn't he look at them? And it was just a stressful day.
Yeah. So what was our next step?
At that point, I was told to wait for a letter in the mail from the FAA, which took several months.
Yeah.
And then complete the task in the letter. And then we spoke with a few of our friends, and they told us about another AME who actually helps guide you through the process once you've been deferred.
So the FAA has a program called the HIMS program, which is Human Intervention something system, medical system. It allows an AME to actually pre-process some of this paperwork and help coordinate with the FAA Medical Division so that the theory is you can get your paperwork in order and get the right test without having to do multiple back and forth with the FAA. So we found a HIMS AME down in San Antonio that we worked with to get your initial paperwork submitted with the FAA.
Yes, got that all submitted in December 2021.
Was it December?
December 15th was my deadline to get everything returned.
Okay.
I had everything submitted the first week in December. And it is middle of March.
Yeah. So we were waiting for a response, and I think we were expecting some sort of additional hoops to jump through, but they were going to hopefully be manageable. And we subscribe to USPS informed delivery. So it's always exciting when we see certain scan things. And we saw the other day a letter from FAA Medical.
Yes.
Were you happy to see that in informed delivery?
I was not exactly happy. I was like, oh, great, let's see the list of things we're going to have to pay for and do now.
Yeah. And when you opened that letter,
I cried. Tears of joy.
Because this is what was in it.
My medical was inside there.
So it's a special issuance. You are
valid until September 30th of this year.
And what do we do after September 30th?
Basic med.
Going basic med. So some of the guidance that we've gotten is, yes, we can go back to and get another medical in September 30th. We will have to resubmit paperwork, and most likely it will be another special issuance. So unlikely you'll ever get the 5-year Class 3 medical that is eligible for people who get it under 40 years old. That's in the rearview mirror for me now. But so basic med is absolutely the way to go. You have a valid medical with a special issuance. You never need a FAA medical again unless you need to do the kind of flying that basic med does not allow you to do.
Outside of the country?
Outside the country, bigger airplanes.
Bigger.
Like you wouldn't be able to fly some more than 6 seats. So you could fly the Bonanza.
What about the King Air we're going to get?
King Air, you would need a medical.
That's okay. I have a private pilot.
There you go. So one of the big challenges I think we found is this popular AME that we have in the area is also a HIMS provider. And as we started going down this path a little bit more, we kind of started realizing how many pilots are getting deferred. Whereas a lot of AMEs out there, what they try to do when they give you a medical is make sure that the information presented to them justifies them in approving your medical. And as long as they are justified within the guidance and the regulations that they have, they will approve your medical. And because it's not in their interest to defer you. But when you get your medical from someone who is also a HIMS provider, it's in their best interest to defer you, because then they can charge you a fee to manage it to get you your medical. And even not only is it their fee that they're charging you, it's the additional medical costs that you're going to have. Now, we did a lot of research after you get deferred on the items that you had an issue with. And now, we're not doctors. We're not AMEs, so we don't know all the requirements, but we can read what's published on the FAA site, and the conditions that applied to you, the information that you had with you gave the AME a justification to issue your third class at that point, according to the guidance published by the FAA.
Yes.
So this is really a long delay and
very long
and very costly, because not only did our HIMS provider charge us a fee, a much more reasonable fee than the original doctor would have.
AME.
But additional exams and medical costs that not all of it was covered by insurance.
Because it wasn't necessary.
Wasn't medically necessary. Thankfully, none of the, I mean, you had to do a CAT scan for, one of the issues was a history of kidney stones.
Yes.
So they wanted a CAT scan and a letter from a urologist.
I didn't have a urologist.
Yeah. So it was a lot of hoops to jump through, but you now have your medical.
I have my medical.
So, you know, the kind of the moral of the story is be very careful getting your third-class medical from anybody who's also a HIMS provider. It's kind of like asking a inspector to come inspect your house, and he's going to give you a list of things that is wrong with it, and he'll give you a quote because he would love to fix it for you. Of course, he's going to find things wrong so that he can justify you hiring them to fix it. It's best to separate those two things. HIMS providers are very rare. There's only 2 in the state of Texas. And so finding, this is just one of those things that I've been getting medical since I was 20 years old. And, you know, if you're one of those people who have like no history of anything, you just check, yeah, I'm fine, and you can do that in good faith, you have no issues. But most of us have lived and have things that have happened in our life. It doesn't prevent you from flying, but you have to think carefully about how you're going to present this information and how you go get your medical. Always be legit and honest. And, you know, maybe we were too honest on the form, but we were honest. And it's gone through the process. The FAA Medical Division has reviewed all the paperwork and said, go fly.
For 6 months.
No, for the rest of your life with basic med. That's the thing. And part of basic med is a self-evaluation. If anything in your medical history changes, under basic med, you're required to take the correct action, which might be back to another special issuance. You know, there are things. If you have a heart issue after flying on basic med, your basic med is no longer valid. You're going to need a special issuance for that heart condition. So there are still very reasonable, safe checks and balances with basic med, but we're done jumping through hoops. So congratulations on your medical.
Thank you. Time to solo.
Time to solo.